Hello, 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 hello. I'm Derek Stewart, your host for the DC Stewart Show Podcast. We're right back at you on a Monday morning. It is January 5th, and we had somewhat of a delay earlier, so we had to, regroup and come back on. So we're back at you on YouTube. We're on Facebook, and we're on Twitch TV currently. I have McKinfolk Isaiah, and I have McKinfolk Najee here. You are currently on the DC Stewart Show Podcast live. And this is about the rawest sports talk you can find, and we're doing it every week, and we're going to be here for the duration. So we wanted to let you know that, and we hope everybody had a great weekend. So we're going to be recapping weekend sports. So let's get right into it, and we're going to talk a little bit about Black Monday, which is D-Day for a lot of coaches in the NFL. The NFL is a very strange, to me, phenomenon in a lot of ways because it's a corporate conglomerate, but it interjects sports, which is entertainment, into it. And a lot of these coaches that you see, technically they're teachers. Coach to me equates to teacher, and I hope everybody understands that. If you had a PE teacher in elementary school, you had a coach. You had a PE teacher in middle, you had a coach. You had a high school coach, it was a teacher, because these people teach at the school. So let's get into a little bit of Monday morning, and let's get to the main one, which happened yesterday, because a lot of teams start early. They start on Sunday. Some even start earlier, but usually Sunday. Looks like Raheem Morris and Terry Fontenot got fired yesterday. Now, I have some issues with that. Although Arthur Blank is one of my favorite owners, I love him to death. I was there in Atlanta when he bought that team from the Smith family. Rankin Smith and his family sold the team, and Arthur Blank picked it up. He carried it to the next level, and he really took it over the top. Arthur Blank is one of the original founders of Home Depot, and he bought the team. So he really put that team on the map in Atlanta. They were only a half away from a Super Bowl, which we'll talk about that later. But I'm going to get right into the meat and potatoes of all of it. Raheem Morris got fired after technically 2 years. He went 8-9 in both years, technically. And when he went 8-9, to me, I think that's not acceptable because it's not a winning season. Because if you're not at 500, you're technically below where you need to be. However, when he took that team over, that team wasn't in great shape. And he was on his way, I think he was on his way to putting together a team that could be competitive in the NFC South. And if you look at the NFC South as one of the weakest divisions in football, I'm going to start this thing out, and I'm going to ask Najee first. Najee, do you think it was the right thing to do for Arthur Blank to fire Raheem Morris and Terry Fontenot?
No, I mean, you didn't give them a chance to really develop anything, man. Like you already said, they was already a not established team. So, of course, what you really going to be able to do in 2 years, unless you had a team that's already well equipped and ready to compete in any type of, battle. But, I mean, you already gave him a garbage team. He had to try to build up the team, make the team better, but then you get rid of him before he get to really do anything. Like in 2 seasons, what are you doing in 2 seasons? Look how many coaches that's been in any franchise that don't win anything, and they either stay neutral or get a little better. You give them 2 years has nothing to do with anything, especially a garbage team. If it was a good team, if it was already a good team, like for example, let's go with the Patriots, the Chiefs. They already won Super Bowls. Now, if you put that man on a team and they can't win Super Bowls no more, then of course, it means because you're supposed to be able to elevate that team already. But if you put a team in there like the Jets and you expect him to just be better in 2 seasons, and they really don't have anybody besides Breece Hall, and that's it. That's it. They just showed yesterday after they freaking lost the last game they had. That was the only team, and even as you guys are older than me, they didn't win. They didn't get a interception the entire season. I thought that was somebody was trolling, but ESPN put it out. That was a team since I think the 70s, since anybody will have a full season. Mind you, 17 games now. It's not 16 no more. A full season and nobody get a pick? 17 games. And you tell me you don't get a pick, one interception in any quarter. That's a lot, bro. That's a lot of football not to get an interception. That's just me.
That is a great point, Najee, and I'll say the same because and it's a good comparison. I think it's a great comparison in the fact that some other teams, they did worse. And let me just clarify everything with every person that's watching football, whether it's college or mainly pro, because we're covering pro today. Each owner is different. Each owner has his own personality. Each owner has his own way of doing things. It's just like anything else. When you're working for an organization, you work for one here, you go down the street. The one down the street could be the same industry, but they're running it different. And Arthur Blank, I feel like he feels like he's running out of time. I think he feels that way because Arthur Blank is very late in age and he doesn't look great. I seen him at the game against the Rams on that Monday night, at least from the perspective I was watching it on TV, and he doesn't look that great. And I think he's just to the point now where he would rather just blow it all up and start over again, which to me is the worst thing that you could do because you got to bring in a new GM and then you got to bring in a new coach to do that. I'm going to get to Isaiah and say, listen, Isaiah, what do you think about this whole scenario? Because I think it stinks, to be honest with you.
Well, I'm looking at it a tad different because on the one side, I'm checking it out where I didn't think the coach and GM had enough time to rekindle a relationship with a team and build from scratch and build a powerhouse team. But then on the other side, from a perspective of a guy who's frail looking and look like he's about ready to check out of here, he got a sense of urgency where he want to build a team and pass it off to his son. And of course, when you do something like that, DC and Najee, I think that he has somebody's in mind, definitely two people in mind, DC, because if you can your GM and your coach, that GM probably don't want the coach. So he's already got a GM in mind. So the GM going to bring his own guy. So why would you bring a GM and then have the GM fire the coach? And then on the other hand, just fire both of them and just clean the slate and then start from scratch. So that's the way I kind of see it, because the head coach hadn't been there long enough to go and establish his own players and get his own way of doing things. And after 2 years, it's a disaster. I just watched a speech with him, the head coach, and Raheem Morris, and he had a dynamic speech. He slapped hand and embraced these guys and they fired him. He didn't think he was getting fired. He embraced those guys like, well, I can't wait the next year where we can go ahead and continue to rebuild. And next thing you know, he's off the podium and walking away and thinking, wow, let me go ahead and catch me some bass fish tomorrow, and then we'll get back at this football thing, just to get that cloudy smoke out of his head. Then next thing you know, he reads his can. And, that kind of stuff is almost dirty, man. When you do a guy like that, you already know you're getting ready to move in a different direction. And this guy got this upbeat, fantastic speech of how he want to do things next year. You don't let the guy know, hey, man, listen, man, that was beautiful, but I think we're going to move in a different direction. It was nothing like that, man. It was like a two-faced thing where you put a butcher knife in this guy's back or hit him across the head with a machete because you have no intentions of keeping this guy, and just let him do out there, spill his guts about how he ready to proceed this program to another level next year. And then he hear that he's got fired, and then the GM is fired too, man. That's almost some heinous, wicked type of stuff to do a person, man. When you kind of respect a person and then you just don't believe he's going to do the job for you, you let the guy know up front. You don't want this guy go in there and pull off a speech like that in the media and all this friends and peers and the team is in there listening to him, and then you stab him in the back, man, that was kind of cruel in my book. Yeah.
Agree. And you know what? Raheem Morris has been coaching in the NFL since 2002 when he came in as a defensive backs coach. And he came in as a quality control, I think it says here, defensive quality control coach before he actually took a position coach, responsibility, which he did. And he worked his way up. He was the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for a short time as well. And I have nothing but positive things to say about Raheem Morris because you could tell he's a positive person. I mean, I've heard him speak. He's very intelligent. He knows football. He coached the Rams. He was a defensive coordinator on that championship Rams team with Aaron Donald, and Ndamukong Suh and all those guys were on that defense. So what does he not know for him to be able to come into an organization like Atlanta? And I'm not throwing any shade on Arthur Blank because I actually like Arthur Blank. So I'm not going to say anything negative and bad about Arthur Blank. I think Arthur Blank has just come to a point where he wants instant results. And obviously, in this real world we live in today, you're not going to get it. You're not going to get those instant results because it takes time. And it takes time in sports because it's very difficult to win a game in professional sports, period. Whether you're playing in the NFL, whether you're playing in the NBA, wherever you're playing, it's very, very difficult to get wins in
it's the same
professional
thing happening in Dallas, DC. It's the same thing happening in Dallas. You got an old frail owner who's got a sense of urgency, need to win right now, and they pulling stunts like this. I mean, Jerry hadn't fired a coach in a while, but he sure the hell want to
Well,
win.
he just hired Brian Schottenheimer. That's 1 year, right? I believe that's 1 year, right, Najee?
Well, what I'm saying before he gave the prior coach about 5-6 years, and it wasn't going right. So he finally pulled the trigger because he know he want to win, and he's decrepit and he's ready to win right now because he's thinking he's going to check out any minute. So that's why I'm saying they got a lot of similarities. Arthur Blank and Jerry Jones. They old and they want to win right now. It's the same thing what happening in with the Raiders before the owner passed away over there.
Al Davis, yes.
Before Al Davis passed, he was delusional like that too. Just before he passed, he was trying to win and see a championship before he checked out. But to his demise, he never got that.
Absolutely.
So, question: do you think it's the roster? Anybody that's the stars on the team that wanted him out?
No, I don't think so. I very highly doubt that because Raheem was a player's coach. He was a player's coach, and unless they were doing things behind his back, which is possible, I mean, you don't always have a handful of people that's going to be disgruntled, right?
Behind his back, shit. The firing was behind his back. I just tell you, the man had a dynamic speech, and then next thing you know, he get ready to get out of his car and get a text message. This is only me saying this, but at least they didn't tell him why he was on the podium. He found out another way. Instead of telling the man, we're gonna move in a different direction, he ran that chest bumping and high fiving. Next thing you know, he's taking a machete to his back. That's what I'm talking about, man. Tell him, man. Well, listen, man.
That's because Robertson, the running
Bijan,
running back for that team.
Yeah.
So I used to wonder why his numbers are so inconsistent like that. Because he had like 140 yards. So next thing I said, oh boy, he's supposed to eat against who had a bad rushing defense, the Bills. Next thing you know, he only get 40 yards with them. So I'm like, bro, what's going on? They was like, it's really the coaching because the way how he's orchestrating their offense, and he is inconsistent, and you can tell he's frustrated between him wanting to not only want to get his stats, but then of course they want them to win. Because me personally, I think the Falcons have too much talent.
they have a ton of talent. Especially on that defense. If you saw that defense,
man,
They have a great.
we never know that, and maybe Arthur Blank probably feel that way.
Yeah. So I mean, for that much talent for you to be under 500, I guess.
well, circumstances is different in sports, and it's very different in the NFL. than it is from college. It's the next level up. So you got bigger, faster, stronger players. And what I'm trying to actually say is every team technically is somewhat on an even level when it comes to talent now. There's very few teams that don't have very talented players anymore. I mean, back in the 80s, the 70s and the 80s, you had top-heavy teams like the Dallas Cowboys. They had very talented players. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they had very talented players. So those teams ran dynasties. The San Francisco 49ers, they had dominant players. So they ran the table because they had dominant players, and the rest of the league was trying to figure out how to catch up. Now the league is caught up with free agency because once they opened up free agency, these people are moving around. These players are moving around to different teams. And when they move around to different teams, it's all monetary, it's all driven by money. So when they bring these people to these teams, like Bijan Robinson, for example, I'm glad you brought him up, Najee, one of the top running backs in the NFL. He was one of the top backs at University of Texas. He's one of the long lines of running backs to come out of Texas. He's shifty. He's elusive. He's hard to tackle. And you got the offensive coordinator, Zach Robinson. I just looked him up right here. His name is Zach Robinson, and it looks like he was hired back in January 24. I think the offensive coordinator has to take the talent level that he has, and he has to parlay that into matchups, plays. And if he's not doing that, he needs to be gone. I'm not talking specifically about Zach Robinson. I'm talking about the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator. If they're not pulling their weight and the team is losing, why would you go up top and decapitate Raheem Morris and Fontenot? Because Fontenot actually helped the team get out of purgatory with the salary cap. They were in a salary cap dungeon when Terry Fontenot got there. And he got there. He helped them get out of that salary cap trouble. Then they got it back to where they needed to be. Atlanta's, to me, has one of the best teams in the NFC South, and that ain't saying much. Because you got the Carolina Panthers, you got the New Orleans Aints. I ain't going to call them Saints. I call them Aints. And you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, there was rumors swirling that Todd Bowles may be the next one go. However, getting back to the Atlanta Raheem Morris one, I think that Arthur Blank made a mistake. Now, he did go up top and he grabbed Rich McKay, John McKay's son, who used to be the GM with the Atlanta Falcons. I think he took over the president's title when that happened, when Terry Fontenot came in, and he took, basically he's cleaning house starting top down in terms of management and in terms of coaches. The only other option that I think Atlanta that Arthur Blank may have in mind is Brian Flores. And Brian Flores he's the Lane Kiffin of the NFL now, to me. He's going to be the hottest name out there. What do you think about that, Isaiah?
Well, it sounds good, but before this happened, I'm just eager to see how it's going to pan out, because Brian Flores has always been a good coach. Even when we were stupid enough to get rid of him down here in Miami, they made a big mistake, and they're paying the price for it, a healthy price for it right now, because you got Tua stuck up under our wing with a fat, massive contract where they can't wiggle their way out of that. And now he's the third-string quarterback when Flores was telling him not to even draft the kid. So it looks good with Flores being over there. But, man, Flores is a no-nonsense guy. He's not going to go over there and put up with no garbage from nobody. If he's going to hire him over there in Atlanta, if Arthur Blank is going to hire him over there, he better give the guy the wherewithal to go ahead and manage the team the way he wanted and the way he sees fit, because you got to trust these guys' judgment. A lot of these guys, they put them in these positions and then they forget about they are the stars in this thing. They are the ones in the eyes of this thing and the ears of it. And it's sad when you got these antiques like him who's probably, forgetting shit too, and he's getting these guys in there and don't let them do their job. You put a strangle on this guy. We don't know what he's allowing this guy to do. It's just like what Najee was just saying. You give the guy who run 100 and something yards in the next year, game to get 40. I mean, they probably not letting him do what they want to do. You got to give a coach just hand them the position and say, I'm going to stay out of it. Most of these guys don't stay out of it. They control these people and tell them, oh, no, don't do this week. I mean, that's not a way to govern a team. Because when you do that, you screw it up because they're not watching film like you're watching film. They're not doing all these things behind the scenes like these coaches are doing and scouting these other teams. They're not doing that. So that's why they need to just leave them alone and let them do their job.
I personally think, and I'm going to ask Najee this, I personally think the quarterback situation was dicey in Atlanta. And what I meant by that is they brought in Kirk Cousins for all this money. Everywhere Kirk Cousins has touched down, he's gotten $100 million or close to it, which he deserved because he's a veteran. He's a seasoned veteran in the league. I don't have any issues with Kirk Cousins. I think Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. However, when they drafted Michael Penix Jr. was the experiment that they were working with, and then he blew his knee out. So when he blew his knee out, he's out of the game. And Atlanta was one of them seesaw teams, just like you see in the NFL. And the NFL has gone to that level where it's just a seesaw league. You got teams that'll be super good one week, and then the next week they're down in the dumps, in the toilet. And after that, I mean, it's just not consistent. They don't have consistent play, right?
Offense was consistent at all, man.
No, not consistent whatsoever.
Yeah. I looked at KC this year, how they diminished this year. And that's a prime example of what you're saying. They hadn't switched that many people in their personnel to go so sorry to the left. I mean, they're really needing to rebuild again now because I don't know whether they tired of Andy Reid's play calling and
because the manpower
that.
But the thing is, they had suspensions and injuries for KC though, because you had Worthy that was hurt, you had Rice was suspended. They just got their running back
Pacheco, Isaiah Pacheco.
Yeah, he blew his knee out last season, so he was still trying to kind of get his game back together. But the thing is, they also not a team that like to run the ball that much because he's almost like Dan Marino. He wants to throw it almost all the time, except he's more mobile than him. Plus, for you to have a throwing team with no,
but we're still talking.
We're just talking collectively about how the NFL has diminished into a league where there's not
start losing people.
Yeah,
when you start losing people, you got the next man has to step up.
That has to step up.
That's all it is.
Yeah,
that's all it is. That's not no excuse to me.
And Kirk Cousins came in, and when I saw him against the LA Rams, I mean, he looked decent. He looked okay. He did just enough to be able to help them balance that offense out where they kept the Rams from doing certain things. And the Rams actually beat themselves several times with penalties. I ain't going to just give Atlanta that game. I watched that whole game from start to finish. So with all of this said, I wish Raheem Morris well, and I wish Terry Fontenot well as well, because these guys, they have been in the league. They understand what it takes to win. They understand the dynamics of how you put a team together in terms of the talent that you bring in and the talent that you place in certain positions. I think and I believe that Raheem Morris will definitely get another defensive coordinator job somewhere. I don't know where, but he will move on, and hopefully one day he'll get a chance to coach again, and who knows, Fontenot may get a chance to be a GM. Sean McVay for the Rams were hated to let him go. Sean McVay wished him well when Raheem Morris accepted that Atlanta job, but Sean McVay said everybody in LA loved this man in that organization, even the front office and the secretaries, everybody. He could talk to anybody at any level, and that's the kind of person you want to be leading your football team. So let's move on to the second one, Kevin Stefanski. I'm going to say it again, Kevin Stefanski. Kevin Stefanski got canned today, and it was long overdue. I think it was long overdue. It was long overdue because he underperformed as a head coach for the last several years, for sure, because there was years that he had Cleveland competitive and they were able to play at a higher level. And me and you and Eddie, our guests on Saturday, had that discussion about the Cleveland Browns organization. They have a lot of soul searching to do, you know, And if they don't do that soul searching with Jimmy Haslam leading the way as the owner, they're going to stay in the toilet. They're not going anywhere. Now, they have the defense together. The defense seems to be solid for Cleveland. However, that offense has been a disaster. And that disaster sits solely on Kevin Stefanski's inability to be able to develop players into potential all-pro players, even at the quarterback position, at every position, because there was a lot of dissension within the organization in the locker room level with certain players that didn't like certain things and so on. So I'm going to start with you, Isaiah, and ask you, was it long overdue? Did Haslam make the right decision to go ahead and part company with Kevin Stefanski?
Yeah, absolutely, man. He should have been gone the second week of the season. You know, he had this personal vendetta against players, and then he pick and choose. Has nothing to do with the talent. He just was a personality type of thing with him. He just stuck up the place, and that's not leadership, man. You get the best man forward, play the guy, and leave him alone. Coach him well, and just leave him alone. He just made a disaster out of the team. I mean, a good coach going to put aside everything else but winning, putting the best talent out there on the field. And I see that he had no way of doing that. He didn't have that way of saying, okay, this is my starter. I'm going to go with this guy, and I'm going to play this guy and let everybody else sit on the sidelines and let me go ahead and start winning games. He didn't have that type of frame of mind, and that's the reason why the team fell so dramatically this year. Yep.
So, Najee, it looks like he went a regular season record of approximately 45-56, which is a 446 winning percentage. Roughly career record 46-58. And I don't see that as success. I don't see that as success at any level. I mean, at any sport. When you done lost 58 games and you won 48 games, that's a 442 winning percentage. You're not even cracking 500. You know, so why would you keep a guy like that around for the circus to continue? The youth fair. I don't know, but many people don't know what the youth fair means. But yes, the circus would have continued if he would have stayed. There was nothing going to change. You know,
but if Shador's going to be they starting quarterback, at least start him with another coach, and they both will be fresh with each other. He going to give them. He's gonna give them plays to execute and have them be successful. Don't have him being under a cloud that he's already gonna feel uncomfortable. He got to feel like he got to show everybody he's worthy and all that stuff. It's not a great atmosphere to want to be successful in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looked like he was fired after 6 years with the Browns, and the GM Andrew Berry he's remaining with the team. So obviously, I think Jimmy Haslam decided just to get rid of Stefanski because he was the center of attention in the media ecosystem when it came to that team and what some of the things that was going on in that locker room. If you're a head coach and you can't keep your locker room straight, you need to be gone. You can't keep that locker room in check, you need to be gone because you are the factor in that situation that if
they coach.
Well, I predicted that he'll stay. I don't think he's going anywhere, but I could be wrong because we're still. It's 11 o'clock in the morning here on the West Coast.
Don't let Najee bait you into that, man. Listen, man. Don't let Najee bait you in there because see, he's only saying that two with dry switching. Your coach game, man. You let Najee bait you in there if you want to.
Franchise is a circuit.
See, you know what Najee judging that up on because Tua was out there dry snitching saying guys be late to the meetings and then they not showing up to certain things and all of that and it seems like the whole team has been disarray.
The team is gonna be that way. There's no way you're gonna have a successful team. No way.
You imagine yeah, but the guy who was dry snitching is on the damn bench now. He's third string. How about that one? Yeah.
That's gonna be. They're not gonna pay a third string quarterback that much money.
No, because they gonna short order him out. How many stamps you think they need in the pack on the box? Isaac.
We just got through talking about the Cleveland Browns. Their quarterback is making more than Tua, and he's sitting on the bench. You tell me when the last time he touched the field. Tell me that. And he's got guaranteed money. No, man. What's the guy's name who came from Texas, DC, and he got injured? He was on hottest, man.
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah,
Deshaun
Watson is still with the Cleveland Browns. His day is coming too. They gonna 06 him up out of there as soon as that contract expires. You can rest assured of that.
He'll kill. And blew it again.
Hey, he ain't been hurt all this time. No, he has not been hurt all this time. No, he has not, man.
He retore last January.
Okay.
As a mobile quarterback, you definitely need your Achilles.
He hadn't been hurt all this whole time. He hadn't played a damn down. And even when he gets fixed, when he gets his rehab in, he's still not going to play.
Okay, so here's the thing. And since you brought Mike McDaniels up for the Dolphins, and you said the Dolphins, but I know it's Mike McDaniels we're referring to. Mike McDaniel's record is 35 wins and 32 losses. Kevin Stefanski's record wasn't even close to that. Wasn't even close. Now, Mike McDaniel in 2022 went 9-8 in his first season. 2023, he went 11-6. Now, he's still 0-1 in the playoffs. He never got him beyond that first, level to the playoffs. 24, he was 8-9, and right now he's 2-7. I wouldn't even compare the two. I wouldn't compare Mike McDaniel to Kevin Stefanski because Kevin Stefanski didn't care about developing his quarterbacks. And I'm not going to say quarterback. I'm going to say quarterbacks. He had Dylan Gabriel in there first, and then he had Joe Flacco in there first, and then he finally had enough pressure on him to put Shador in there. And when he put Shador in there, he just chose to just let Shador play without any kind of guidance, in my opinion.
Giving him the damn wrong playbook on his wrist, DC.
Whatever he did, I would say Mike McDaniel's situation is much different than Kevin Stefanski.
They sabotaged this kid, man. They sabotaged this kid.
Yeah. So let's move on to this next one. And this next one is I kind of thought this was coming. That you got Pete Carroll, that he only spent 1 year with the Raiders. I know Antonio Pierce is just sitting somewhere with a glass of champagne and thinking about how insecure Mark Davis is, because Mark Davis like big name coaches. He likes those high profile type of coaches that he can bring in and they get instant credibility and they bring the fans to the games and they're able to do certain things that a coach that you don't have a lot of high profile, nature to, they tend to not, and Mark Davis tend to shy away from them type of coaches. So here's the thing. He fired Pete Carroll, and my next guess is maybe he can rehire Chucky. Do you think he can rehire Chucky, Isaiah?
If he
could do it, if the NFL does not have anything in place to keep him from rehiring John Gruden, I'm pretty sure that name is going to pop up on his radar. Wouldn't you say?
Okay. If he does that, he's dumber than he looks. Because he's weird. You know he's a weirdo. If he does that, if he wouldn't have bring that type of distraction in his organization, because Chucky had already kind of wiggled his way out of the NFL, he really is looking to coach college because he don't have that same stigma on him. Because he did some cruel stuff and he got jammed for it, and he was trying to find a way to sue the NFL. Now he's won another job. Hey, man, if he does that, I'm telling you right now, DC, he's crazy. He's just bringing turmoil to his organization for bringing Gruden in there, because Gruden is nothing but a bad apple, man. And they hired him if he want to. He think he's got a lot of problems. He's going to have more. Yeah.
So how do you feel about this firing, Najee, with the Raiders, with Pete Carroll? Do you think he wasn't given enough time, or do you think that was the right move on Mark Davis's part?
Who's his quarterback?
Geno Smith. You know how calm and collect I said that, Geno Smith.
Every time I talk this dude, you don't never believe me when I mention that man. Bro, Yeah, who was his running back?
Ashton Genty.
And he a monster, bro, and he still can't do anything. I told you, I do not believe in Geno, bro. I do not believe in him. I do not believe in him. He's not great enough for me. He's just good enough to be on the roster. That is it. To lead a franchise? No. No, man. No. He was 19. He had 19 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. No, come on.
Ooh, man.
Well,
Believe in him.
Geno Smith is gone. I mean, I think he's gone now because he doesn't have Pete Carroll there to protect him, for one thing. He'll move on to another team as a backup. I think Geno served as a pretty decent backup during his entire career because, you know, he came out of West Virginia.
To lead your franchise? No.
Yeah. At one point when he left West Virginia and the Jets had him, he's you know, any quarterback or anybody who go into the Jets it's a disaster. They're going to hit a hard wall. It's like running into a wall head on. The Jets organization is just like that. It says here, quote, Pete Carroll thought that he possibly was going to come back, and he said that he, of course, would want to return for another season, but Mark Davis had different plans for him. And with that in mind, who does Mark Davis go to get a new coach? I mean, who can come in there and turn that franchise around? I don't know very many coaches can do it.
Well, like I said before, these guys don't need that type of breath breathing down their neck, man. When you hire somebody, you gotta let these guys alone, man. And I think he's one of those guys. He's gotten like Jerry Jones. He got the metal into these coaches' business. And even though Najee don't like Geno Smith, but the fact that if you don't let Ashton Genty run wild like he did in college, man, there is something dramatically wrong with this man, because I mean, he was right on the brink of winning the Heisman Trophy, and then you don't utilize that talent that he has. There's an issue with that, man. You structure your offense around a running back that's so significant. You got to get this guy involved. And, you know, that's before you start passing. Now, you talk about Geno Smith was not doing anything. Because the running game is not doing anything. You got to get that running game going first. And then you can worry about the passing. You can't establish that.
If the other team is blowing you out by passing, if he can't at least match it, guess what? He can't do nothing. You know how many times they've been down 13, 14, 20 points before by that time, he can't run the ball no more. When you're down.
That's not true. You start out 0-0. Every game start out 0-0. That's what I'm telling you.
And they will be
every
down
game
0 easy.
And that means their defense is shitty. That's all that means.
Okay, so here's the deal. Here's the deal. And I'm going to go ahead and bring in a commenter, one of our viewers. Freebird Tony has joined us, man. We're so happy you here, Tony. Happy Monday. Hope you had a great
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah, we got to definitely say Happy New Year first. So we're glad you're with us today. Freebird Tony says here, the Dolphins are the team that should land Chucky. What do you think about that, guys?
Like that, Gruden is going to be a freaking problem anywhere he goes, man. I mean, he just bring that freaking.
So what type of problem would John Gruden bring if he were to come to the Miami Dolphins?
You just got to look at what he done before. See, he left in a fashion where he was fired because of some stuff he was doing on computers. And if people hadn't forgot about that, they're gonna bring that noise where he is, and that's the first part about it. Now they can go out on a limb and give him some face time and get him to start coming around and get people used to seeing him again. That's what they need to do. It's just like when Michael Vick had those dogs. I mean, but when the moment he got back in on the podium where he can talk and interact with fans and stuff, it kind of succeeded a little bit. But before that, it was all over him. He needs to get out there and get his face shown again before he get into coaching, because otherwise people just going to get on him about what he got fired for. And he need to just get on TV, whether he's the commentator again. He need to get his face shown a lot.
So you're saying that FaceTime would help him. Now, in defense of him, in defense of John Gruden, and I would say that John Gruden is a formidable coach. He actually won a Super Bowl with the Bucs. A lot of people say he did it with Tony Dungy's players, but it doesn't matter who he did it with. He still won the Super Bowl. He still ended up winning the Super Bowl. He's been a coach in the league for a long time. Do you think he could bring stability to that locker room? That's the only thing that matters. Because of course, Dungy just said, well, Mike McDaniel might not, and we've all discussed Mike McDaniel may have lost the locker room as well. Will he be a stabilized force to come into this Miami Dolphins organization and keep that locker room in check?
When he was with the Raiders, what was their record? Was the Raiders kicking ass or what?
Well, he was with the Raiders twice. He deferred John Gruden's record, and let me pull it up because I like to kind of let everybody know. When he was with the Raiders the first time, overall record with the Raiders, it looks as though 1998 to 2001, he went 38-26. And 2 playoff trips, including an AFC Championship game appearance. His second stint, 2018 to 2021, he went 22-31, ending his, in his resignation because of that cloud of that scandal that came up. Now, if you were to combine these 2 records together, he's still at 500. I think he, personally, I don't personally have. I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see them interview him if he's interested in coming to Miami, and we'll see how that plays out, to be honest with you.
I don't think they're going to get rid of McDaniel, man, to be honest.
I don't think so either. I don't think McDaniel's going anywhere.
They like him. I think they think he's a good play caller, but they're not. I don't think they're going to move away from him because they could have done it already. Mm-hmm. And if they was going to do it, they should have done it already.
He's not safe yet. It's still Black Monday. I think it's 2:00 East Coast time right now, right? Some teams just get to it a little bit later than others, right?
They waiting on happy hour?
Yeah, they waiting on happy hour. They waiting on happy hour where Stephen Ross and the guys can go out and talk it over and say, you know what do we do with it? I don't think he's going anywhere, though, honestly.
No, man. He's got this sentimental type of thing they like about him, man. It's more than coaching. They like his personality, man. And they like how he interact with the players, too. I think he's a tad soft because I've been saying that. Is a way of being stern and rugged with these guys and then being soft because I've never seen the stern and rugged side of him. I've seen the soft part of him all the time. I've seen him embrace guys and kiss them in the head like they was a newborn child, which you can't be doing no grown man like that because he's going to take your ass as being a weak. But that's the part I've been seeing with him. Instead of him getting in guys' face when they're late for stuff or they drop a ball when they hit them right in their hands or, you missed a tackle. I've never seen him get on these guys like that. And then for Tua to go out there and dry stitch on them saying that they wasn't going to the meetings and stuff like that, that was just extra added scrutiny with him as being a leader when you letting these guys off the hook when they're doing something wrong. They're violating the team policies. Mm-hmm. That's the thing.
Well, Pete Carroll, I'm going to ask one last question before we move on to this next firing. Is this the end of the road for him for head coaching in the NFL?
No, I think if he want to coach, he'll coach again. Because his track record speaks for itself. He's always been a winner. And in this case, I think it would just rush to judgment. He was only there for a year, right?
Only there for a year. Yeah.
So that's what
they brought in Chip Kelly to help that offense develop with Ashton Jeanty because they drafted him first round. And they brought in Chip Kelly, who's an innovative offensive mind, at least the perception is. And he ended up having to fire Chip Kelly. And I think he had pressure to fire Chip Kelly. I don't even know if he wanted to do it, to be honest, on his own strength. I think he got pressure from upstairs to get rid of Chip Kelly.
Same time, right? They came in at
the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not right. I mean, I don't know whether he got pressure in there, but wow, that's bad. You bring a guy in with you and you fire him before the year is out. Wow. That is disastrous. Damn.
Well, I think Pete Carroll can coach, and I know Pete Carroll can coach, and if he decides he wants to stay in the NFL, he can. But even if Pete Carroll wanted to come back to the college level, I think he could.
Before Chuck could get one though, DC.
You think so?
Yes, I think he'll get a job before Chuck can get one. I guarantee you that.
Yeah, well, we'll see. It's just perplexing to me how they go about making decisions, firing coaches. We're like 3 months away from the NFL draft, the 2026 draft. And when you don't have a coach and a GM, you got to start all over again. You got to get a strategy together. They need to come in and put a strategy together and be able to draft based on what's the next best thing is needed for their team in terms of players. And if they don't do that, it's just going to be a revolving door for Mark Davis with coaches. I don't see it as being successful.
No. He's used to the revolving door. He's been making a lot of decisions of late. Ever since he got a team, really, from his dad, he's been doing that. So he should be used to it by now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this is the DC Stewart Show live debate. Real talk, real sports. And we're hitting right on point with what we delivering today. So let's move on to this next coach. And we're talking about Jonathan Gannon from Arizona. I didn't know much about Jonathan Gannon. Jonathan Gannon, he's been there several years, I know, and he ended up at Arizona. And Arizona is one of them franchises to me, Michael Bidwell, who owns the team, at least he used to, and I think he still does. That's one of them kind of teams similar to me that the Raiders. I mean, they can't seem to get it right when it comes to the coach coming in there, giving him what he needs in terms of the talent level, because they got Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, they drafted him in the first round, one of the top receivers in the NFL. Najee, where do you think Arizona's owner, Bidwell, just deciding to fire Jonathan Gannon was a good idea?
I mean, the Cardinals. Oh man, it's kind of hard, bro. It's hard to say that when these guys really be losing their quarterbacks for the season, and then you just can them like that. Because
Kyler Murray, right? Kyler Murray he's been the quarterback for the Cardinals for a long, long time.
Yeah, he got hurt, and then they had this Jacoby guy. He was throwing a
Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett has been around the league. He's almost played for like 6 different NFL teams. Yeah,
might get a touchdown. So I don't want to say that. Like, who else is in that division though?
Well, they're in the NFC West with the 49ers and the Rams and the Seattle Seahawks, and I mean,
yeah, they won't go nowhere.
Exactly. I mean, what was that team built to compete in that particular division? No.
Division. Division. That's one of the toughest divisions. That's one of the tougher divisions. You got the Seahawks, they gonna do their thing. You got the Rams. You got the 49ers with McCaffrey. They won't gonna do nothing anyway.
So it looks as though Jonathan Gannon went 15-36. He had 3 seasons with Arizona. This year it ended at 3-14. I guess Bidwell just ran out of patience. He had 3 years, right?
Well, yeah, but 3 years is significant, but you don't see no turnaround. There's no progress there, DC. He's going backwards. He left the guy no choice.
Yeah.
He left him no.
Right.
He's in a worse position than everybody who we were speaking of.
Well,
so he's got to make a decision like that. I mean, if you look at his record, it's worse than everybody's. Everybody who's gotten fired this year, his is worse.
Well,
yeah.
The Raiders are going to be the Raiders are going to get first pick. By the way, they're on the clock for the first pick in the draft.
Fresh, damn, they really going to be fresh.
So we'll have to get into who we think at some point that they're going to pick first in the first round, unless they trade it off.
And the Jets with the same record.
Yeah, and then you got the Titans and the Jets, and the Titans don't need a quarterback. Because they have Cam Ward, even though he got hurt yesterday. At least I saw that he went into the tent and he didn't come back out, at least ready to play, right?
Yeah.
Out of all the teams that we just talked about, I think the Raiders
he look like he already showed us something.
They could be the team that can rebuild the quickest if they get a good coach, man. because they got some of the foundation there already, DC and Najee. When you got a good, talented running back, and then, I mean, that's where it starts too. You got a decent offense and defensive line. They can build the fastest out of all of these teams we spoke about.
Right.
That's true.
Could be a possibility. I wouldn't put it past it because, it depends on, I think, the circumstances surrounding the franchise and the owner and the thought process of each owner, because the owners at the end of the day are the ones that make the call on who gets drafted. I don't care nothing about no general manager, no president. If you go into those war rooms, that owner has already made it clear who they're going to draft and who he or she prefer, because there's a couple of female owners in the league now. You got the Seattle Seahawks and you have the Indianapolis Colts. So
that's why we got Tua right now.
Yeah, because Chris Greer made that possible.
He sold it to Stephen Ross, though. That's my point. You just made the point. He would have sold it to Stephen Ross.
It was a great sale to sell it to Stephen Ross.
And then he's paying for it right now, though. Yeah.
So Jonathan Gannon and Shane Steichen, who's the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, were on that Philadelphia Eagles staff in that Super Bowl year. And Steichen was the offensive coordinator. He's still with the Colts. He's not at risk of getting fired. Gannon was the defensive coordinator, and Gannon ended up accepting that job at Arizona. So with that said, it just still seems to me that most of these teams are, they're hungry for offensive-minded coaches more so than defensive-minded coaches. I wouldn't say that it should be that big of a difference, because if you get the right kind of offensive coordinator in there and you got a defensive-minded coach, they could still win. Don't you agree with that?
Yes, I do. I'm puzzled by so many of these offensive minds out there, even in collegiate football. None of them are jumping ship, DC.
Why would you leave the college level when they come to the pros? It's a waste of everything to me.
Some of them inspired to want to coach in the NFL for some reason. Some of them do,
but not a lot of them. Not a lot of them, because all the money is in the college level. There's no money up in the NFL. I think Tomlin and a handful of other coaches are making $10 million plus a year, or whatever the case may be. The guy Harbaugh for the Ravens and all them they're making big money, but the rest of these coaches, $4 million, $5 million, So it's not a lot of money to take all that pressure for, right? I would say.
Yeah, but you got to go in there and kick some butt. You kick some butt, the money will be there, man. That's no question about it.
That's a good point. That's well stated.
That's all you have to do. You got to go in there and win.
Yeah.
If you don't win, you're not getting any money. But you go in there and start winning, they're going to pay you accordingly because they want to keep you around.
Well, Jacksonville is a perfect example of that with Liam Cohen. He went into Jacksonville. It was a disaster. I mean, and I think that the job that Liam Cohen has done at Jacksonville is just beyond phenomenal. I really do. Because Jacksonville they were a bottom feeder for a minute,
They were.
And they had Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson ended up, he was one of the best coaches in the NFL. And Doug Peterson ended up winning a Super Bowl, I want to say, with the Philadelphia Eagles before he ended up getting canned out of Philadelphia. And then that's, when he ended up in Jacksonville. There's no place to go if you're not winning, but out the front door, or actually out the back door. They sneak you out the back door. They get you out that back door, Yeah. Because at the end of the day, winning is everything. Losing, don't nobody remember you finished second. I was telling my wife that the other day, we was watching a game, or actually we was watching these long distance runners, and one runner came in, he was number one, and the second runner came in, he was number two. I told her, I said, you know what? Nobody's going to remember number two. They're going to remember the guy who won the race, right? Yeah. So that's in all sports, whether it's any type of sport.
When Tiger Wood was, when he was in his prime too, man, he said this. He said, listen, guy, second place sucks.
And it does. It does.
You remember when the Buffalo Bills went to all those Super Bowls.
They went to 4, didn't they? They lost all 4 of them.
Like second place because they went there, but they lost. So it's second place. So I don't remember anybody wearing a damn Super Bowl ring that was silver. You know, the second place ring.
Did they give you Super Bowl? Did they get you one out of the bubblegum machine?
It's something similar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Cuban zirconia in it, DC.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! So let's move on. Let's move on to this next coaching firing here, because there's 4 of them that got fired. So you had Raheem Morris, you had Pete Carroll, you have Kevin Stefanski, and Jonathan Gannon. Jonathan Gannon was technically, he was supposed to be hired to toughen up the team and get the team, you know, at some point Super Bowl ready. Now here's a team, and I'm going to just veer off a little bit, that I'm not that impressed with, the Denver Broncos. And a lot of people from Denver will be mad about that, because Denver's got a huge following. Denver is somewhat like the Cowboys. They got a following in damn near every city that I've been to. I see Denver Bronco flags flying around. I'm not that impressed with Sean Payton, and I've never been impressed with him. He's got a good team. But when they run up against a buzzsaw, they're going to run up against a buzzsaw. I think, personally, the NFC West right now is one of the better conferences in the NFC. The AFC West, to me, is not that strong. Do you guys agree with that? Because the Kansas City hasn't done anything. The Kansas City Chiefs were basically the kings of the West.
Yeah.
And then you have the Chargers. Jim Harbaugh came in and he helped enhance and make the Chargers better. But Peyton, it took him a few years, and he was able to get Bo Nix in there, which Bo Nix is a good quarterback. I think Bo Nix he's a prototype pro quarterback. Bo Nix is one of them old throwback type of quarterbacks. He's strong, he can throw, he can run. But does Denver have everything that it takes to get where they need to be? And I'm going to ask Najee that.
They're one of the more well-balanced teams. I'll give you that.
They got a good defense for sure.
I'm not going to really sorely believe in Bo Nix, because he has very highs and he has very low games, but his defense can make up for that. I've seen him do that with Peyton Manning. When Peyton Manning he had a poor piss game and he still won the Super Bowl. So I mean, if this defense can hold up and he can play at least an average game, they can win the Super Bowl, because you got Lamar Jackson out, you got Patrick Mahomes out, Josh Allen. He can still do what he can do, but their defense is nowhere near where it's supposed to be. It's not. It really isn't. So, I mean, who really is going to be really in front? You got the Seahawks that's doing okay. You
actually in the AFC West have the Broncos, the Chargers, the Chiefs, and the Raiders. The Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you have a division like this that's top heavy, in my opinion, and the Chargers and the Broncos are sitting up at the top, and the Chiefs and the Raiders are bottom feeders. Come on, man. I ain't that impressed with the AFC West.
See, it really stings sour when the KC got moved out of it.
Who's going to beat him up? Buffalo going to get it handled. Buffalo going to get that handle. Buffalo going to be on the road when they beat Denver, too.
It's don't hold up, bro.
Okay, but Buffalo going to be on the road when they go to Denver and get that handle. I'm telling you, I'm going to predict it. And I'm not undefeated, but I've made some decent calls during the season. Wouldn't you say so?
Some of your shit was questionable. Yeah, a bunch of questionable stuff.
You watch your mouth. You watch your mouth. You be careful. You be careful. Well, we hadn't got around to that yet. We working on other things. We ain't got around to that side yet. You know? So here's the thing. Okay, so these coaches that got fired, at least for now, the ones who did get fired that they've made public, I believe that all of these coaches are going to move on and they're going to continue on with their careers. You got maybe have a one or two, I don't know, but I think overall it's just a recyclable thing. It's a circulation where in the NFL they just recycle. You get one coach get fired here, he go over there and right. And
He's
Pete
74 years old. He'll be the coach no more.
Pete Carroll is one of them that should just just walk away from it.
Yeah.
And then go in the front office, do like Bruce Arians.
You know what, Pete?
Listen,
Ariel.
Pete Carroll needs to be upstairs as a president or a CEO of an organization and pull what Bruce Arians did. Walk away from it, man. You don't need that headache.
Different, bro. That was
Yeah.
different. Bruce Arians walked away on his own way.
Yeah.
His way.
He didn't get shoved out the back door.
Got fired.
He didn't get shoved out the back door. Yeah.
That's the difference.
That's true.
And he's still calling shots over in Tampa Bay. Other guys, Todd Bowles will be on this list that we're talking
Todd
about.
Bowles will be in the unemployment line, right?
That's right. Yep.
And they're going to tell Todd Bowles, hey, man.
We were talking about how Belichick is so out of sync. Pete Carroll's actually older than Bill.
Yes, he is. But he looked much younger and he's much more better shape than any head coach I know in the league, even the young ones. Pete Carroll be out there jumping around, running with these guys, tackling them and catching passes. Pete Carroll is got the fountain of youth forever. And I knew when he was here in LA coaching,
when he was younger, DC, he looked like he was younger than he was in his 40s. He looked like he was in his 20s, man. He's always had that youthful look about him.
Yeah, he was the defensive coordinator for the 49ers back in the 80s. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Pete Carroll was. So Pete Carroll is going to be around. Like I say, if he really wants to do it the right way, go upstairs. I wouldn't be down there on that field, taking that pressure, getting canned, because that's a bad mark on your reputation as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And you got to understand, these guys, they get energized by the excitement of being on the sideline, and it's not the same when you're in the booth or behind the scenes. They don't feel that. They want to be out there where all the excitement is.
Right.
So they get that adrenaline when they're going out there on the field, just like the players. Look at that. That's the reason why you got some players that don't want to retire, man. They've been doing it all their life. Now their talent has declined, but mentally they don't want to give it up. Their body telling them, man, go sit down somewhere.
Yeah.
But your mind telling you, man, I still could do it. And
that's right.
And that's the difference.
Yeah. So let's move on to this next subject and topic, and we're going to talk a little bit about the game last night. The game last night, which is the Pittsburgh Steelers, Baltimore Ravens, had a ton of value riding on it for both teams.
That was a beautiful game.
They were riding dirty. Both teams were riding dirty, and let me give a second of accolades for Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson did everything that he needed to do last night to show that he's an all-pro quarterback, league most valuable player multiple times. All of the naysayers for Lamar Jackson, you got him wrong. I think you got him wrong because his athletic ability itself makes up for so many different things. Now, when Lamar Jackson won the Heisman Trophy out of Louisville and came into the league, he was more of a running quarterback. Now Lamar Jackson is the consummate balanced quarterback. He threw 2 passes to Zay Flowers for touchdowns. That game seesawed back and forth. Now, on the flip side of that, Aaron Rodgers, he's the godfather. Aaron Rodgers is the freaking godfather for the NFL right now. Because Aaron Rodgers, he never gave up. He played his tail off last night. And that was one of the best football games I have seen in the last 20 years. With the way the score was seesawing back and forth, with the way these teams was beating up on each other back and forth.
And it cracking too.
And there was some head cracking, and it's always been that way because these teams hate each other, in terms of, T-Sizzle, Terrell Suggs say, they knew I didn't like him. And Joey Porter and all them guys on the Pittsburgh side said the same thing. I'm going to start this thing out with Najee. I ain't trying to rub it in on you, but your Ravens lost last night. Explain how they lost. What do you think were the factors? I know what the factor was, and I argued with Isaiah last night about it. He put me on blast, or at least he tried, but he couldn't. Najee, tell us why the Ravens lost last night when they had everything right there in winning. They could have won.
I would say the kicker only. But it was the defense too, man. The defense was awful. Now, how old is Aaron Rodgers?
I can pull his age up.
Aaron Rodgers, let me know.
He's 40. He's 42, I think.
He's 42. Okay.
Aaron Rodgers, you're spot on, 42.
Mind you, Aaron Rodgers don't even run the ball that much. He's not a freaking scrimmage quarterback.
He ran it last night.
20
That's
plus
true.
yards. Piss me
Yeah.
off. So I'm blaming solely on the defense because the way I felt nervous about the game because they had this stigma about Lamar that he plays great throughout the season. When it really counts, he folds like a lawn chair.
Yeah.
As I'm watching the game, I kept it in the back of my mind, but I said, let me be positive because this is my team, this is my quarterback. He played a marvelous game. He had him.
Yes, he did.
His defense folded and let him go, bro. Even when he had the last pass to the tight end Likely. It was a great pass and it was an awesome catch. Bro, I'm telling you, I'm at work screaming, yes, God, yes. Kick this field goal. Let's win it. Let's win it. The co-workers come checking on me, seeing what's going on, saying, be okay. I said, yeah, but the Ravens going to win. The Ravens going to win it. Next thing you know, I told them, I said to myself, they maybe should have probably ran one more play. But I said, don't fumble it, don't pick it. So guess what? Go ahead and take the time all the way down to like 2 seconds. They brought it down to 2 seconds. Let's go. I said, let's win it. Let's win it. That man, the kicker didn't look like he was nervous or nothing. So I said,
he looked like he was ready to go. As a matter of fact, Nabi, he was over there rehearsing his kicks before they even gave him an opportunity. He looked so poised, man, and so relaxed. I just knew he was gonna nail that kick.
That's why I just knew we won it.
I did too. I was sitting there watching
They
it.
gave it to him like on a silver platter, man. They got way within his range to kick it. It wasn't a matter of fact that it wasn't long enough. It just was. Let me pray.
Right, I said, oh no. I said, oh man. It took me like 2 hours to stop thinking about the game.
Well, here's the thing.
2 hours.
All I gotta say is nobody should be blaming Lamar for that. Nobody. Even last year, to be honest, if you want to be sorely honest, even last year that wasn't Lamar's fault. That was Mark Andrews' fault when he kept dropping easy passes and he fumbled the ball when they were about to score.
I remember that one. I remember that play.
He really just, bro. He just on Lamar Jackson's side is more bad luck, bro. Because I'm like his teammates is letting him down when he really need them to excel.
Well, I thought everybody stepped up on the Ravens offense, and like you say, there were some question marks on that defense with that defensive back slipping down, and things like that happen. But when you slip down on a play like that and you leave Pittsburgh's receiver wide open for a touchdown, that was Aaron Rodgers was like at a park, a playground. He just couldn't believe it. I mean, the receiver was wide open. Yeah. And the Ravens defense has got some work to do, and they got the offseason to prepare for it. The thing that I had with the kicker is, man, they pay you to kick. They pay you to kick.
What you gotta do?
They pay you to kick. You don't have to go out there and make no tackles. You don't have to go out there and get your head knocked in. You don't have to go out there and do very much of anything, even with practice. From my experience with practice, the kicker don't practice with the team. The kicker is on the other end by himself down there with a kicking coach. Kicker field goal through the two uprights. And in a game, listen, a game like last night, you got to make that kick. You got to make that kick. I'm not going to blame the young man because he's a rookie. And if they'd have kept Justin Tucker, I believe that's the ex-kicker's name, right? If they'd have kept Tucker, that would have been a chip shot for Tucker. But they didn't.
Easy.
That would have been a chip shot. The Ravens would have been they would have been celebrating it last night. But on behalf of Mike Tomlin, I'm happy for Mike Tomlin. I'm happy for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm happy for Aaron Rodgers that they were able to pull this game out. However, on the flip side of that, and this is what me and Isaiah butted heads about last night, they pay you to kick. They pay you to kick. Now, Todd Monken, to me, they started trying to protect what they had. Instead of, if it was me, I would have probably went for a whole nother play with that amount of time that they had left to even get it a little bit closer. They had 3 timeouts, and then And then they got protectionists with it. Oh, we're playing not to lose. We're not going to fumble it, or we're not going to throw a pick. We're just going to try to position it right in the middle of the field for our kicker. I'm the type of person is, look, you call another play and give it to Derrick Henry if you have to. That's what I would have done. I'd have made sure Henry got it.
You see, listen what you guys don't forget. They wasn't really counting on Derrick Henry because he been dropping balls, bro. He fumbled 2 or 3 times in the last 3 or 4 games. So they wasn't willing to put the ball in his hands, man. You know how many times they hit Derrick in the backfield for minus yards? They was game tackling him like crazy last night.
You could put some of that on the offensive line if he getting tackled in the backfield, correct?
And that's what you
okay.
Because
yeah.
He was getting drilled in the backfield. The moment
we were getting penetration, and he was getting tackled in the backfield. That is so true.
So they didn't want to get a ball to him. They wanted to rely on
whatever the case may have been, they should have went for another play instead of trying to get really safe and really, I'm going to just, because Lamar, all they did is position it right in the middle of the field for the kicker, and he missed. He missed a freaking kick.
The reason why they did that, because they knew a field goal would win the game. If we would have hit our extra point, they would have been trying to get a touchdown, DC. That's what you guys fail to realize. Our kicker missed the extra point.
Okay.
So instead of them trying to score a touchdown, they just want to get a field goal and be safe and just win by 1 point. That's where they went wrong. They had enough time, and they had time out to drive down that field, because they had a couple big plays, man, in that drive that got them on the 20-something yard line. And then they had a couple of timeouts left. Elected to burn those timeouts to run that clock down to 2 seconds where they could be safe and kick it, because that was their safest option. And they failed, man. That's why I was like, they were stupid last night. That was stupid, man.
I don't think
won that game.
Well, if like I said before, if they wouldn't have got really trying to play not to lose, and they wanted to run the timeout and kick a field goal and go home, which was one of the biggest games of the year because the division championship was riding on it. Anytime you got the championship riding on it, you need to take that extra risk and go and do what you got to do. Look, I'm going for broke on you. If I lose, I'm going to lose. But at least I got a lot to be proud of, because I went for broke. I didn't just try to protect and get down there and then run the timeout, and then you got a rookie kicker to come in and miss the kick.
That's the mentality of these guys, man. They want to do everything safe. And that's why look at Najee.
Playing not to lose. Najee ain't got much to say. Najee ain't got no smile on his face.
Yeah. He would have had the nicest smile because he got nice teeth. He would have shown all of his teeth today, man. Had no guy law. I mean, if they would have won, you would have seen all of Najee's teeth, all the back in his tonsils and everything would have been showing. But guess
so.
And I mean, that's the only thing I can think of, DC, man. Najee gonna come in here with his hat backwards, and he gonna be like, "This, what in the hell happened last night?" Because even in the post game interview, Lamar Thomas was saying he was still trying to process this.
Lamar Jackson, yeah,
Lamar Jackson. Sorry,
yeah,
Jackson. He was saying he was still trying to process it because he just knew that they were going.
Everybody knew that they were going to win. Isaiah, let me ask you a question. How many yards was that kick? How many yards was that kick?
The ball, I don't know the exact yards, but they gave it to him on the 26-yard line, where it was well within his range, DC. And I'm telling you, this was a freaking 100% shot for him to hit this thing. I'm telling you, just like you were mentioning how his job is to just kick, and everybody else is doing whatever they want to do, and their coaches is on their back watching everything, and the kicker's off to the side, text message his girlfriend, text message his jump off. He's not concentrating on the damn game, and all of a sudden, hey man, it's time for you to come in here and kick the ball.
I don't think any of that equated to last night. It was a 44-yard field goal. In the NFL, a 44-yard field goal is supposed to be made.
It's supposed to be.
It's the win, unless the weather is being unfavorable. There was no win. Yeah.
No damn win, man. Come on.
Right.
If you thinking about the most win I've seen is when we watched the college game last week with them, and all that was a windy game. When they have those flags on the top of the uprights and you see the flags going shifted one way or the other,
right?
That's when you can see the wind. And there was none of that last night. He just missed that thing. And you can't blame it on being a rookie either, man, because you tried to ease that in there. I heard you.
I didn't listen. I'm not protecting this kicker as a rookie. I'm just saying I just brought the terminology up.
Well, you mentioned it. You ain't got no business. He's a pro.
Hang on, Isaiah. Before that miss, he hit 30 of 33 for the season. That's 90%, bro.
90% until the night that it was the most important kick.
Season.
Yeah. So to me, if I'm doing the math, that 90% flips over. What does 90% look like upside down? What does 90% look like upside down? Is 0.9, right? According to reports here, Ravens kicker Tyler Loop and fiance bombarded with vile messages after the season-ending miss.
Man, I just could not believe it, man. It was a really, the game was great.
It was a fantastic day yesterday that I watched.
Listen, man, I moved during halftime. I was glued to that game, man. It was just great. Great professional football, man. And to see the ending comes in the favor of me when I predicted this thing was going to happen. And then this guy right here with those earplugs in, with the white earplugs, he called me.
Man, I was ready. Hey, I was ready to I don't know what I was going to do because, listen, I was pulling for both sides. So that's the positive thing about it. I was pulling for either side. I like both teams. I like the Ravens. I like Harbaugh. I like these players on the Ravens team. And I love Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh has been a team we've been watching ever since we were children when they went to all of those Super Bowls and they played in the Orange Bowl all those times. Yeah.
A family. That's partially true because we had an argument last night.
We had a big argument. My wife asked me who was I arguing with.
And he was freaking nasty and cruel when I put him in the damn place because he
dirty lowdown. Dirty lowdown. What can I say? So here's the thing. The NFL has got a lot of public relations to fix. They gotta make some corrections in the league. And what I mean by that is the NFL needs to figure out how to make the competition more balanced out in terms of which team, and they can control these injuries. They can control a lot of stuff that happens on the field, and a lot of the changes to some of the rules is kind of maybe contributing toward some of what's slowing down everything. When you guys say that?
Concur with that, DC, because that kickoff situation, when you give a guy a chance to feel the ball before you give movement, this guy, if he's a speedster, he's got 10 yards before your team even moves, man. The kickoff, I think it's girl type of football, man. Let them guys go down there and hit that butt, damn it. If it's an injury occurs, so what? Because that's the only way it's going to be a game, man. Because otherwise, there's other teams that are advantage over you. There's a disadvantage when you kick the ball and let a guy feel the ball before they start moving. That's
Do you know the science behind that? Do you understand the science of how that works?
I do. I do.
Okay.
I understand. They're trying to prevent injury because the collision is so dramatic and so brutal when they hit and running freaking top speed. But it still gives the receiving team an advantage. Because think about it, DC, you got both lines right there stationary until he feels that ball. The receiver feels that ball.
Right.
And he take off running. He's trying an advantage.
Well, the league has always leaned toward entertainment more so than than some of the offense. It's an offensive-centric league. It's an offensive-heavy league. So anytime you got offense...
He got to the 40-yard, like that last kick, he got all the way to the 47-yard line. Because by the time he filled that ball, new guys start moving around, he was all the way to the 30, the 40, and he was in the opposing team territory. So
some of that contributes to the whole thing, but if you look at some of the penalties that these players are getting now for, defenseless receivers, quarterback protected inside the box, make sure you don't tackle him or push him or anything, None
of that stuff is not, that part I agree with, because if a guy missed the ball, don't go take his head off and he didn't hit the ball.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, you missed that ball, you're gonna get capitated. You're gonna break your head off, man. But now they can't do that. Hit a defenseless guy. And when we were playing, that's the real. We used to always say, "Go ahead and catch the ball, because you're gonna get drilled anyway. So catch the ball."
Yeah, catch the ball and try to protect yourself as best you can. If you have an opportunity to do it, protect yourself as best you can. So let's move on to this NFL playoff bracket for 2025. It looks like the wild card week is there. Denver is idle because they're the first seed. The Steelers play the Texans next week, and the Texans look damn good, bro.
Texas playing good ball, man.
Yeah, and I want to say the Steelers has got to go to the Texans.
They might. I think they do. I think the Texans got a better record. Yeah, so if that's the case, do you see Pittsburgh beating the Houston Texans? Man, I think that Texas is well coached. They got great
DeMeco Ryans.
They playing really good ball.
It looks like Pittsburgh is going to host it at their stadium on the January 12th. Yeah, for the AFC wild card, Pittsburgh will host this game, so the Texans has got to come to Pittsburgh.
I'm pulling for Pittsburgh, though.
Which I find that weird, because the Texans have a better record, though.
Yeah, they do. They do have a better record. But I'm pulling for Pittsburgh anyway. So.
But the Pittsburgh ended up winning the division, though, so that might have something to do with it.
The reason why?
We could.
Yeah, at least that might. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe somebody could correct us.
The Jaguars, which is amazing, won their division. Okay.
Yeah, so it looks like the Bills versus the Jaguars. Who do you got out of that one?
The Bills and the Jags? I got the Jags.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with the Steelers.
You going with the Steelers? I'm going to go with I'm going to go, and I'm going to be contrary to you guys. I'm going to say Houston going to go in there and get it handled. Okay. How about that?
Yeah. Okay. You call me with a napkin.
You're in that.
Well, I lost the game last night because I predicted the Baltimore was going to get it handled, with the exception of a missed kick. Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the hell circumstances were. The L and the W is a thing that matters.
Yeah.
And you were talking about the guy shouldn't have slipped when he bombed it. When Aaron Rodgers threw that bomb on the end when that guy slipped. You see, damn, why he slipped.
Wouldn't have slipped. If it would have been me out there covering that receiver, I wouldn't have slipped down. I'd have made the play.
Yeah, he just would have flat out outran your ass. You would have had to slip.
Oh my goodness. So it looks like the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be at home against the Bills, but I'm predicting the Bills is going to go in there and they're going to beat Jacksonville at home. And it looks as though,
because I'm telling you, the Bills' defense is not what it used to be.
We'll see.
That's next weekend, right, DC?
Yes, all of these games are next weekend. So the last one,
enough for you to go up there, Najee. We should meet and go to that game.
That might be something that you want to think about.
What game that game start? What time?
What time the Jacksonville and the Bills start? At 1 p.m. on Sunday, and I'm assuming that's 4 p.m. 1 p.m. here is 4 p.m. in.
It's 1 p.m. here.
It's 1 p.m. there, so it started at 10 in the morning here then.
Wow. Okay.
So, looking at the rest of this playoff bracket, the last game is the Patriots and the Chargers. The Chargers is going to be on the road, I know for sure, to play the Patriots.
Patriots is kicking some rear end, man. They totally turned that team around.
Well, We talked about Mike Vrabel last week.
Yeah, man. We was talking about having him coach of the year, man, because of how good he's doing over there. Yeah. And Bob Kraft, man, more power to him, man.
I love Bob Kraft. Bob Kraft he's the type of owner that knows what he's doing. A lot of these other owners, they just make these irrational decisions based on their emotions at the moment. Bob Kraft made a mistake, and he hired Gerard Mayo. And Gerard Mayo, I don't blame Gerard Mayo for what happened the time that he was the coach of the Patriots. He was a position coach. He was elevated into a head coaching position, and it just didn't work out. However, Bob Kraft made the right decision when he hired Mike Vrabel, right?
Yep, I think so.
So I'm going to pick the Patriots. The Chargers probably is going to give them a good game, but I'm going to go with the Patriots on this one. Who do you guys go with?
I just told you the Patriots.
Yeah, the Patriots. Okay.
No doubt.
Okay. So let's shift over to the NFC side. The Seahawks are going to be on a bye because they're the highest seed. The Panthers and the Rams. The Rams is going to the Panthers, I believe. Let's see. I want to make sure I get all of this right. Rams versus Panthers. Or unless the Panthers is coming out here. Because the Rams got a much better record.
It's going to be...
I got the Panthers on that.
Yeah, it's in North Carolina. So the Rams are going to travel
the Panthers on them.
to the Panthers. I got the Rams. I'm going with the Rams on this one.
I got the Rams too.
Yeah. The Eagles and the 49ers. And the Eagles, Nick Sirianni sat his starting players, and he did that with Saquon Barkley like a year earlier, and it worked out. They ended up going to Super Bowl. He preserved Barkley. Barkley didn't get the record, the rushing record. He could have broke Eric Dickerson's record. He decided not to play Barkley. But yesterday,
I think I will get Philadelphia on that one.
Yesterday backfired because he sat his starters and they lost.
Yeah. That sounds like that Baltimore Colts stuff. That sounds like that Baltimore Colts stuff when they set Manny and all those guys.
I remember that.
And they lost.
Eagles, 49ers. And I know our guest Eddie, who he's picking in that one, of course, he's going to pick the 49ers. It looks like the 49ers is going to have to travel to Lincoln Financial in Philadelphia to beat the Eagles if they beat them. Now, I'm going to go ahead and make my pick, and I'm going to say the 49ers are going to travel to Lincoln Financial, and they're going to beat the Eagles. Who do you guys think?
I got the Eagles.
I like the Eagles better, but I don't believe into their offense this season.
I don't either. That's why I'm picking the 49ers.
The 49ers. At least the 49ers know what they want to do.
Right. So, the last game of next week, and I think that game will be played on, I want to say they played the divisionals in the first game, but here, the Bears and the Packers.
That's Saturday.
I'm going with the Bears.
You going with the Bears? I'm going to go with the Bears as well. I like what Ben Johnson is doing. I like what Caleb Williams is doing with the Bears. The Bears are for real. For real, if you want the terminology for it. I think they got everything that they need to be a championship type of team. So last but not least, before we close this show out, which coaches' futures are riding on these games? Can you just come out the top of your head with a coach to say, if they lose this game, they may be in trouble moving into the offseason into next year?
Bills.
I agree with you. Sean McDermott, technically, I want to say, because they're moving into a new stadium too, by the way. I want to say it's a dome stadium. I don't even think it's going to be an outdoor stadium in Buffalo. But whatever the case may be, Sean McDermott's got to find a way from the AFC side to run the table, get hot, and get all the way to the Super Bowl. Don't you agree, Isaiah?
Yeah. But I don't see anybody being on the hot seat because of this, man. Because once you solidify this playoff ranking, the seats start to get a little cooler than normal. Those who didn't make it, those were the ones in the hot seat. So I don't know anybody going to lose. Okay, well, that's your opinion, but I'm just telling you, I don't see anybody getting canned losing the first round. I don't. But let's see. Let's make note of that and see who get canned after this week's game.
I agree with you, Isaiah, to that level. I think last night shut the naysayers down in the media in Pittsburgh for sure. They can't say nothing about Mike Tomlin. They can't
at all.
They have no room whatsoever. You got zero room to question this man's, ability to be able to win games when he need to win, because at the end of the day, it's about wins and losses. And if they don't do that, he made it last night. Now, if he wouldn't have made it last night, if that kicker would have made that kick, it would be a whole different conversation we're having today, because it would have been, oh, well, he can never get to the playoffs. He can't win the big games and so on.
One of the reasons why I was so enthused when that game was over, and that was part of our argument last night, is because they had a couple questionable plays, DC and Najee, at the goal line, where they opted to go for it and didn't make it twice. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Which means that game wouldn't have been that tight. And then if they would have lost, that's when he would have been.
Well, that halftime bungle that they made, they should have figured out how to eat. I would have took the 3 points. If you down to 5 seconds and you down on the goal line, you take the 3 points. But it worked out. It worked out for him.
It really worked out for him at the end. But what I'm saying to you, the game wouldn't have been in jeopardy like that for them to be needing a field goal to win it, because they missed 2 times where they was inside the 5 and came away with nothing. Twice. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying, man.
Absolutely. I'm happy for the Rooney family. I'm happy for Pittsburgh. T.J. Watt, Cameron Haywood. Cameron Haywood he was a stable there. He's been with that franchise for how long? God knows how long. Him and his brother. They both.
Yeah.
And they father, Ironhead Hayward, Craig Hayward, who used to play for the University of Pittsburgh, and he played for the Falcons for a while. He comes from a football family. It's a very classy organization. I'm happy for Pittsburgh. I really am. So we'll see what happens here. And one more thing is, it looks like Ole Miss's quarterback, and we'll shift over to college before we close the show. Quarterback Trinidad Chambliss has agreed to a new deal that would have him return to the Mississippi Rebels in 2026 if the NCAA approves his pending waiver for 6th season of eligibility. His first season at Ole Miss, the former Division II star led the number 6 Rebels to a 13-1 record, which is the best in the history. A lot of players are trying to get these additional years with, waivers, or they're petitioning to come back for another year. It seems to me like they want to stay in school for the NIL money, wouldn't you say?
Hell yeah. Who the hell won't? Because you're going to make more money than you would make in pros in the NFL. And you know what you're doing already. Mm-hmm. Usually it would be reversed, where they want to leave early to get paid, but now they're making the money already.
So they don't need to leave.
They do not need to leave. I was surprised when the quarterback for who the Dolphins picked, that was at the University of Texas,
Quinn Ewers. I think he could have petitioned for an extra year, I want to say. He was a senior. I think, but he could have petitioned, I want to say, to stay, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I think he left early. Look it up, because he left early. He could have stayed another year. He got out, and Manning took over the starting position. He was not a senior. He could have stayed another year. He put himself into the draft.
Supposed to be a senior in 2022 high school class, but famously skipped his senior year to reclassify for the 2021 class and rolling early. And then he turned around and he ended up at Texas. So technically, you're right. He was a junior, but he was classified as a senior based on the 4 years that he was there. But I think he could have reclassified if he wanted to, but he decided to move on. Yeah. And I think Malachi Tony did the same thing with the University of Miami. When he left high school, American Heritage early,
That's why people always talking about how young he is too. Yeah.
Right. Najee, what do you think about Miami's chances with Ole Miss coming up this weekend.
I mean, to be honest, I thought they beat the better team last week already.
I thought they did too.
So they man, they're
I'm not throwing any shade on Mississippi though. Mississippi's got a good team.
This sky's the limit for them, because if they already beat a better team and they beat them, you know, at a nice pace too, they not beat a team that's worse than them. Take it to the house, man.
Take anything for granted, man. I
I don't either.
to go in there and start that game fast and strong, and don't let off the clutch, man.
The pedal.
They need to go the pedal. They need to put the pedal to the metal from the start to finish, and don't go halftime if you got a lead to slack off, because they have a tendency of doing that, the slacking off sometimes. This was not this game, but throughout the season they did it and found themselves in a dogfight in some of those games. But they go in there and play fast and hard and gain tackle and get down the field and gain tackle. And when the runner back break, you see the receivers blocking downfield. That's the way to win. That's how they.
That's how you get it out. That's how you win in a situation like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you jump out early and you stay on top of this other team, because the quarterback, Trinidad Chambliss, he's very elusive. He's very hard to kind of get him into one spot to keep him. Yes. And he's going to be running, because Mississippi, more is riding on it for, I think, Mississippi than it is Miami, from the perspective that Mississippi hadn't been in 50-something years to the national championship. Miami's won so many national championships in between that time. So both teams has got a lot riding on it. But because Miami has the opportunity to win this game and go home, and they'll be playing at home no matter who they play, whether it's Indiana or whether it's Oregon. They playing at home, and home is home. They're going to protect.
Be playing Oregon in the national championship.
Then more than likely they will. I'm confident that they will. And no slight against Indiana, but I just don't think that. Well, we'll see. That's where I'm going to leave it at. We'll see. So that pretty much wraps up this show. We wanted to cover some NBA topics, but we will do that later on in the week. The NBA is definitely, it's amongst us now. Once this college playoff, once that's over with the national championship, and then with the Super Bowl over, I think that we're going to be spending a lot of time talking about the NBA. I did see Draymond Green in Wemby's face the other day. It looked like he was looking up, because Wemby's so tall. I think what he's trying to do is intimidate that young man, but I don't think he's going to be able to be successful doing it, right?
How you intimidating guy? You got gray beard coming all out your face, and you ain't scared of him no more.
Looking old and gray.
Yeah, they ain't scared of him no more. He done got called out by so many people, man. Big Perk done called him out.
Big Perk told him, "I'll meet you anywhere in the country, and we can go out and we can have a brunch. You want to go have a brunch?"
He likes to impose his will on people that's not from this country, because they the ones that kind of bend towards his demeanor. When it comes to everybody else that's, you know, of color, they don't go for that. They go back and forth with them. They be like, yeah, all right, I'm going ahead and bake you. But when it comes to anybody like Sabonis, anybody that's not from this country,
correct,
they kind of like fold on them, because I mean they don't act like that in their country.
Trying to be a bully. He's bullying these guys.
Absolutely. So we'll close this show. I'm going to go ahead and start with you, Isaiah, and we'll go to Najee.
Happy New Year's to the family, you guys. It was a beautiful situation over the weekend with these football games, college and pro. And this week is going to be more exciting, so you guys keep watching this stuff so you understand what we're talking about come Monday and Saturday. So have a pleasant week. Be safe out here. It's a brand new year. You guys put them goals together and accomplish these goals, whether it's your health or your financial situation. Go at it. Don't let up. We enjoyed you. Bless up to everybody. Have a pleasant week.
Absolutely. How about you, Najee?
All right. Peace and blessing. Love God, because He's definitely going to love you. It's, you know, Happy New Year. I hope everybody having a great bringing into the new year. Everybody's healthy, safe, making their money. I'm gonna tell you one thing: that guy right there, Isaiah, that's a guy I can tell you that's a true hater, man. Because
He's a hater. Why is he a hater, Najee?
his team was already eliminated, right?
Right?
It's a nail biter. This man lost by 28 points yesterday and had the nerve to talk about my team. But he wasn't even in the ballpark, bro. But he talks about my team in the nail biter. That's great. That shows you the type of mindset that old man had.
Hey, Isaiah, he stressed old. He didn't say young. He says that old man. He didn't say young man.
Listen, but this is what's bad about this, man. Family, this is a closing statement. You see how these guys bite back? This thing was supposed to be a closing statement for him to say goodbye. We signing off. And he bring up my Dolphins, man. Everybody know my Dolphins are the dog pile.
But I was giving them a life lesson.
That's all he was doing was giving you a life lesson.
That's not Listen, that's not right, because you should have said that during the course of the conversation when we were talking about who was eliminated. Everybody know my team is the Dolphins. I'm a 305 man, and everybody know my team is in the toilet right now. And then even Tony was talking about bringing Gruden in, and I don't think they're gonna even move McDaniel's butt. Listen, man.
Well, he only said that the Dolphins are the team that should land Chucky if something do happen to McDaniel.
But nothing is gonna happen to him, and that's what I'm telling you. Stephen Ross gonna hang on to him for another year. Bring in the GM, unless he bring in a GM and they get rid of him. That could possibly happen, but we'll see. We will see.
Hey, Isaiah, did you apply for that GM job?
I should be the GM job. If I get that GM job, man, I guarantee you everything gonna be late for no damn meetings and shit.
You don't think they're gonna be late for a meeting if you the GM?
Hell no. And Reek won't be coming in there spinning around going down 199th Street going 100 miles an hour either.
Well, I think he learned his lesson on that. That was a life lesson that he learned the hard way. I really do. Anyway.
Man, he drew. I got him getting arrested, dude.
But anyway, we appreciate all of our viewers. Freebird Tony, thank you for joining us again. And all of our other viewers that join us on a regular basis. We have 370,000 views so far. And that goes a long way with us, because we know people are watching. We know what we're trying to bring to people in terms of the content level that we're bringing. And we're established and we're growing, and we're just going to keep it going. Check out our cartoon series, because that series is definitely going to be growing as well with our 3 cartoon characters, and we'll keep you posted about that as well. Happy New Year to everyone. We hope you have a great day today and the rest of the week. This is a regular work week, I believe. I think everything got back to somewhat normal, at least from the perspective of government and all of that. So anyway, we'll take it easy. Take care of yourself and take care of your health, and make sure you help someone when they need help. Peace, love, and prosperity. Take it easy.